Hey guys, what's going on? It's Brandon. So from the top on what's going on with the Corvette lineup, I'll condense everything into one video because there's been a lot of developments. General Motors is going to use a single letter or maybe two letters, but we think it's a single letter and we think it's the letter X. I'm going to explain why. But they're going to use a letter designation at the end of every model. So whether it's the Z06, whether it's the ZR1, or whether it's the Grand Sport, they're going to add a letter to the end to signify that it's the all-wheel drive version. I don't think it's going to be the letter E, as Conti alluded, but Conti also said that there's a single letter designation coming. Instead of the Zora being the all-wheel drive version of the ZR1, Conti's already prepared everybody that it's going to be the ZR1E. I say it's the zr1-x. I'm going to explain why I think that. I have no problem giving people credit when I feel that their information is accurate. If Justin has accurate information, I'm the first to say it. I made a video the other night when he did the interior refresh video. Everything was pretty much accurate. I said, bravo, good video, good job. When Conti gets things right, I share his videos. I had a video of Conti's that I shared on the Z06 owners group that got deleted when it explained from Conti that General Motors had sent him a memo saying that 2026 production starts in May. What month is it? It's May, right? So Conti explained that in that video. And before Conti even took that video down, General Motors ordered Clayton Smith to block that video. So that video was never uploaded. It was quickly taken down from the owners and Z06 owners group that Clayton Smith runs. And then shortly after is when Wendy Miller attacked me and I was banned from the group within 24, maybe 48 hours tops. So they found me as a threat because I was sharing accurate information. And they made Conti pull that video down. So those people who keep saying, you're always wrong, those are GM puppets, guys. They're either GM puppets or they're really ignorant people like Justin, which I think he's become a GM puppet. I'm not going to lie. I can't figure out if he's just really dumb or if he's a GM puppet or both. But he's way off balance by saying that the car with the emission testing equipment on the back is that's a 2027. There's no way that's a 2026 is what he says. That's a 2026, guys. That's the Grand Sport. So basically, once General Motors comes out with the two-wheel drive Grand Sport, then the E-Ray will become the Grand Sport X, okay, the GSX. All right, that's my belief. What other evidence do we have that the X insignia is coming? A guy by the name of Sleeper88 was... and the guy doesn't always get along with me. He was giving me grief about something not long ago. And we had a disagreement. And I was giving him grief because I didn't agree with him. But as soon as he said, hey, Brandon, my friend at Atlanta Motor Speedway says that they saw a zr1-x and that there was camera crews following it around and it's going to be in the upcoming reveal video. I said, that I believe. Okay? So I'm very open to other people's knowledge. What I got mad about Justin and Conti about is that they were not open to other people's knowledge, right? So anyway, so what that means is Grand Sports, technically speaking, are already in people's driveways. The E-Ray is the all-wheel drive Grand Sport. They're going to change the name of it 2026. That's my belief. We'll see if I'm right. I think I am. There's the car that Mike at Brink of Speed shows on his recent video where the cars were seen in the parking garage, where you have the ZR1 with the cooler that's only seen on the front-wheel drive motor cars, okay, the all-wheel drive cars, the electric motor cars. He goes on to say that's the Grand Sport. Wrong. That is the that is the Z06-x. So now for those of you who've been following me for a little while, especially my critics who want to say that I'm wrong about everything, a lot of people have been coming at me lately. Like in the last 12 hours, 24 hours, everybody came out of the woodwork and started attacking me again because they know that I'm on to the truth. And they know that I'm the first one to report truth. And it's a big deal at GM because what happens is when the public types in like zr1-x, I'm the first YouTube video on the internet that has that in the title. That's a big deal. That means YouTube prioritizes my videos because they say he was the first one to talk about it. So, okay. So with that said, General Motors knows that I'm going to be getting traffic to my channel. That's what freaks out General Motors. Because in my channel, we talk about a lot of different things that could easily result in class actions for General Motors. I haven't started a class action. I haven't tried to, but I keep exposing the problems. General Motors doesn't want me to have the spotlight. So they keep ordering people like Clayton Smith to ban me, Chet Beige, ban me. They keep ordering people to ban me. And some of these guys don't even realize that the people telling them to ban me are General Motors puppets, you see. But the point is, Wendy Miller is obviously a General Motors puppet. She sat next to Harlan. And shortly after Wendy Miller crossing me online and me calling her out about it, Harlan got fired. So I got banned from the owners group, then Harlan gets fired. It's my belief, and I have this on pretty good knowledge, but I'm not going to explain how I know this. It's my belief that Harlan was the think tank creator behind the idea of having the Grand Sport Surprise. Okay? So if all of a sudden there's been a hard line drawn in the sand by people like Darren Walters and Robert Key and Andrew Zurich at CSP, if all of a sudden you get all these different people, Koa Nyugen, Clayton Smith, all these different people who want to draw a hard line in the sand and say Brandon's absolutely wrong, that car is absolutely the ZR1 and there is no Grand Sport coming. Now General Motors knows that if they release a Grand Sport and they change the name of that ZR1 car to the 1064 SS, which was what was going to happen in my opinion, which is why they had the big Sotheby's auction in Miami with the original XP64, 64, 1064, XP64, experimental ZR1 motor. Okay, but the point is, the 64 is not a coincidence. When Tad says that 1064 is all the horsepower they can get out of that car, guys, they could get 1,300 horsepower out of that car, okay? I could get 1,300 horsepower out of the car. Those are really big turbos. That's a 1,300 horsepower car. They've taken it down to a safety zone. They could have chosen to take it to 1070. They could have chosen to take it to 1050. They could have chosen anywhere in there. They chose 1064 for a reason, because the original Corvette SS, go look it up, the original C2 Corvette SS, it wasn't even a C2, it was before the C2. But just go look it up. It's like a prototype car that never came to fruition, but General Motors ran around and broke all the records around the United States with this car at all the different tracks. Sound familiar? Okay, that's what they've done with the 1064 car. They ran around and broken all the records. General Motors needs a test mule to test the motors that are going to be going into their upcoming truck and SUV. I believe that the twin-turbo lt7 is going to be the high-end motor for the truck, the pickup truck, and their SUV. And maybe even they'll throw it in the sedan, the same way that Porsche has the twin-turbo Panamera, the Turbo S Panamera, okay? General Motors needs to be able to compete against these guys. And Ferrari and Lamborghini, they need to be able to compete against these guys. So they're going to have different engine levels, the same way as the Panamera has different engine levels. And so the base engine, you could say, okay, it's going to be the LT2. It could also be the LT2 replacement, okay? But General Motors has the LT2 replacement done. General Motors at this point is just trying to basically not allow me to be correct. So they're trying to change things at the last second to make me wrong, okay? So what they've done, in my opinion, what they're considering doing is, instead of calling the quote-unquote 1064 car, instead of calling it the Grand Sport SS 1064, because that's what they were going to do, in my opinion, that was what was going to happen. And that's why I was telling people, that is not the ZR1, because there's another model coming with the open fender vents, like the GT3RS and the Maserati MC20 and the C8R race car. And since I know that there's a fender vent car coming later, okay, I logically assumed that that would be the ZR1, and that the car that you're seeing is the 1064 SS Grand Sport, which is why it has the Grand Sport pattern carbon fiber wheels from the C7. It has the same style wheels as the C7 had, guys, on the carbon fiber. So I was like, that's the 1064 SS Grand Sport. Great, cool. And then they're going to have the base engine Grand Sport, which either has the LT2 or the newest engine. So These were all my predictions. So when everybody's like, ZR1 confirmed, ZR1 confirmed with 2 little helpers, I'm like, you have no fucking clue what you're talking about, Justin. The ZR1 is not going to have an LT2 with twin turbos, dog. It might not even be a turbo car. The flared fender vent car, in my opinion, is going to have a meaner version of the Z06 motor. It's going to be naturally aspirated. Nobody knows anything about it yet. The public, okay? So with all that being said, okay, so instead of General Motors call the 1064 car the 1064 SS, they might go ahead and stick with the name ZR1. If they stick with the name ZR1, that means they absolutely need another name for the other car. It's plausible that they said, hey, let's just use the Zora name for the higher up car, and instead we'll call this one the zr1-x, and we'll prove Brandon wrong that this isn't a Grand Sport. That's fine when the low end Grand Sport gets revealed and the E-Ray is the all-wheel drive version of that lower Grand Sport, and it's a quote-unquote surprise. I'm still proven right, guys. I'm still proving that there was a game going on, okay? General Motors may as well call the current car the 1064 SS, but since they've already filmed marketing videos with the zr1-x, maybe they won't. Maybe they won't. But that ZR1 experimental car, whatever you want to call it, the 1064 experimental car, that's not just a test mule for that car, that's also a test mule for the SUV. I want to throw out a possibility. I'm not saying that this is going to happen, but I want to throw out a possibility. The body that you see on the 1064 becomes the body for the low engine Grand Sport and the all-wheel drive version of that car. And you say, okay, what are they going to do with the lt7? That goes into the SUV. The new VIN sequence could be for the SUVs. And you say, okay, what about all the customer orders on the ZR1s already? Right. That's the only reason why it's hard to believe that General Motors is going to, but it's also not hard to believe that General Motors would basically dick over 300 people who already put in ZR1 orders to say, April Fools, this is actually going to be for the SUV motor, and that was just an experimental car, and sorry about your luck, but maybe we'll put you at the front of the line for the SUV and the Zora when it finally comes out, or whatever. Or April Fools, this is the 1064 SS Grand Sport. Okay. Now follow me here for a second. When Porsche has the 911 S, they can also have the 911 4S, which is the all-wheel drive version. It only has one VIN sequence. For those two cars, they're only considered one model. When Porsche does the 911 Targa, then they also do the 911 Targa 4. Okay, same thing. It's an all-wheel drive version of the Targa. Okay, so you get the idea. It's always the same. So what you have to back up and now realize is the base Grand Sport is going to share a VIN sequence with the all-wheel drive Grand Sport. The all-wheel drive Grand Sport replaces the E-Ray. They maintain that VIN sequence. The E-Ray VIN sequence is the Grand Sport VIN sequence. They're just going to change the name to the car. That's it. Okay? They're going to call it the Grand Sport X, in my opinion. And as you know, Harlan's already bragged on the Corvette Today podcast, I'm the one who named the E-Ray, which leads me to believe that Harlan was behind this whole scheme, where he didn't want to call the all-wheel drive Grand Sport the all-wheel drive Grand Sport right away because they wanted to save the two-wheel drive Grand Sport for a surprise later, and they wanted to force people to buy the all-wheel drive because it makes them more money, and it also, they can control the production of it, and it's like a test mule. We, the public, are their guinea pigs. We're testing their vehicles for them. So they needed to have a small sample size so they could test these front motors so they can get them ready for the Z06, the 1064 car, whether they call it the 1064 SS or keep it as the ZR1, and for, you get the idea. And the higher up cars, the upcoming Zora, if you will, or ZR1 if they end up calling the 1064 car the 1064 SS. So I hope you guys are starting to understand what I'm saying. My big beef with the Corvette community was when everybody was so sure that the top dog ZR1 is here. The king is here. Mark Rice told us the king is here, and he's telling us the truth, said the Munchkins of Oz. No, that's not the top dog car. There is another car coming, which is going to be more expensive. Okay? And so when I saw the Grand Sport wheels and I saw the body that wasn't that fancy, it's not that fancy of a body, I said, aha, I see what they're doing. This is part of the Grand Sport lineup. Now here's where it gets even more crazy. It's potentially possible, I doubt it, but it's potentially possible that if they go ahead and call it the 1064 Grand Sport SS, it could fall into the same VIN sequence as the base motor Grand Sport. Maybe. I doubt it though, but maybe. At which point, it would not surprise me if the new VIN sequence is for the upcoming either truck or SUV. You understand? So this whole thing has been smoke and mirrors to distract people away from the truck and the SUV and the sedan as being a possibility for the new VIN sequence, because they don't want you to know about it and they don't want their competitors to know about it, okay? But they've got to be able to test the motor for the SUV, so how are you going to do it? You test it in the cars. You put the 1064 motor in the cars, you brag that it went 233 miles per hour, and then you say, wowee, that same motor's in the truck. But the truck can't go 233. We're so sorry. People are going to forgive GM if the truck can't go 233. It's not as wind aerodynamic, and let's call a spade a spade. You know, tires have a hard time holding together those speeds. So people are going to understand when the truck only goes 180 or something like that. You see what I'm saying? That would also allow General Motors to say, you see, this is just like the experimental 64 car, the EX64. This 1064 allowed us to test the motor for the SUV and for the truck. Okay? Again, the Zora is going to have a higher version of the Z06 motor. Okay? It's going to rev higher than the Z06 motor, in my opinion. So with all that said, hopefully now all my stuff is starting to make sense. And this is why I took up bets with people. I said to myself, I don't think the 1064 car is the top dog car. I think there's another car coming later. Timeline suggests it. My inside knowledge suggests it. The fact that I know a secret Grand Sport's coming suggests it. So that's why I bet people there will be a Grand Sport here before the real ZR1. Now what General Motors has done is they've moved the names around with their surprise, and they might keep the ZR1 name on the 1064 car to try to get me to lose. And I think that's what they might be doing, and that's fine. I'm flattered that General Motors would rather miss out on their great plan just to try to prove me wrong, just to try to cost me a couple $1,000. It doesn't matter. Fine, so be it. I'll live. I'm fine. But the fact of the matter is, I'm still the only one who said that there's a truck, a car, and an SUV coming, and the 1064 motor is going to be one of the motors in it. The upcoming base model Grand Sport motor, whatever they end up putting in it, whether they keep with the LT2 for the first year, or they go ahead and release the newer Grand Sport motor, it's going to go into that. Okay, I've explained to you guys about double direct injectors, about how they can run higher compression rates if they run double direct injectors. Okay, they can run much higher compressions. I'm not going to get into that in this video because this video is long enough. It's already 20 minutes long. I'm the one who's explained all this stuff. Meanwhile, you got Justin saying, ZR1 with LT2 and 2 little helpers confirmed. And I'm like, you fucking idiot. That's where I lost my mind on him. I'm like, you idiot. And at the same time, he's saying that the fuel systems are adequate on the Corvettes, when my car experienced detonation both on my C7 and my C8 Z06, and General Motors is enduring class actions, and they just lost their class actions about purposely putting in too small fuel pumps on last generation pickup truck. General Motors does this on purpose because it puts it's a way for them to self-destruct their motors. It's planned obsolescence. Once the motors get out of warranty, the ragged edge fuel systems cause the engines to blow. Global B prevents you from putting in a good fuel system to prove that that's what causes the engines to last forever. Global B is General Motors' way to box you guys out. And those of you say, no, Global B is to prevent hackers. Global B makes it so the cars are easier than ever to hack, because all a hacker has to do is get the car to glitch, and the EDIF glitches, and the engine detonates, and you can spin off the fucking road just by attempting to attack the vehicle. Okay, Google can spin people off the road now with ease because a glitch in the infotainment system causes the engine to misfire so badly that the crankcase, the crank position sensor needs to be relearned. The car forgets where the crankcase is at, the crank position sensor. It forgets where it's at. We've proven all this, guys. This is why General Motors is scared of my channel gaining traction, because we've exposed all this stuff. We've documented it through the dealerships. We've documented the codes. We've talked to the vet techs. They've explained what's going on. I share my information with them. They share their information with me. We all know that we're on the same page. General Motors is purposefully planned obsolescence sabotaging these vehicles so that they fail out of warranty, both on the engines and the transmissions. Okay? We can prove it all. That's why it's worth General Motors' time to change the names to cars to try to prove me wrong. That way their puppets can sit there and scream from now until eternity, you were wrong, you were wrong, you were wrong. When anybody with two brain cells to rub together says, no, he was right. And then General Motors just delayed the Grand Sport an extra month from what they were supposed to release it, the base Grand Sport, because they already sent out the memo to Conti and all the other Chevy dealers that it was going to start getting, that the 2026s were going to start getting built in May. Okay, and out by June. And if General Motors doesn't want to release the base Grand Sport right then and said they want to wait till August or Memorial Day or whenever they wait to, that's their problem for leaving money on the table when they could have been selling cars all summer. What, just to prove Brandon wrong? And that's what you guys are going to see happen. You're going to see General Motors delay this Grand Sport release just to try to prove me wrong, just so I pay my bets. That's fine, I'll pay my bets. But at the end of the day, everybody's going to know that I was right. Everybody's going to see that out of anybody who was predicting anything, I was the one who was bullseye on pretty much 9 out of 10 things. Okay, these other guys don't know what's going on. Brink of Speed is saying that the z06-x is a Grand Sport. No. Okay, these guys are lost. Justin is lost. He's saying that the emission testing equipment's on the back of a 2027 production year car. Yeah, after it gets produced in 2026, Justin. Okay, these guys are lost. That's it. Hopefully you understand what's going on now.